CooperCougarsFootball.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series. Our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we'll be answering about that team and our upcoming August 20th preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we're coming down the home stretch here, and we are going local now, and we're going to start off with the Abilene Cooper Cougars.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be kind of an interesting year for Cooper. They've got 24 lettermen back from last year's team, lost 27. Of those returning, seven are starters, returning starters on offense, only four on defense. So they're going to have some holes to fill, some questions to answer. And we'll talk about some of the biggest here in a little bit as we kind of get into this. But yeah, it's just going to be a kind of an interesting year for Coach Roan, who's now been there for quite a while and established a strong foundation there. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue what's become a really long playoff streak.
All right, before we start talking in depth about Cooper, we want to remind you folks to please hit the subscribe button on YouTube. It's free. After that, hit that little bell and you'll get notifications each and every time that we release a video there. With that, Dan, it's time to start talking about Cooper and the key questions that we'll have for them this year. Go ahead and start firing away.
Yeah, we'll start with the kind of the one that jumps off the page at me. They do return seven offensive starters I mentioned earlier, but one big question mark is at that quarterback position. Last year, Austin Cummins did a really nice job for them at the quarterback position, and he has moved on to Angelo State where he'll play baseball. So they're going to have some pretty significant shoes to fill there, and I'm just interested to see who ends up doing it. Jaden Carrillo, who is their leading returning receiver and has been a really nice receiver for him the last 3 years. Took some snaps at quarterback when Cummins went down a little bit last year, but are they ready to hand the reins entirely to him, or are they going to go a different route? So I'm interested to see kind of what that quarterback position looks like and how they are able to produce there because they do have some talent around that position. They've got a strong returning running back in Peyton Ewing, some really nice young receivers. Some guys that got a little bit of playing time last year when you talk about Zaylen Johnson and Taden Bender, who are really good size. So I'm just interested to see what that quarterback position looks like this year for the Cougs.
The key question that I would have for Cooper this year would be on the defensive side, where they've only got four starters back. So it's a bit of a rebuild job over there. But the good news for them is that they have experience on all three levels of their defense. They've got some experience in the secondary, the linebacking, and up front. So that should help. Jacob Bynum is back in the secondary. He had 38 stops a year ago, had a pick. Bo Byrne is back at linebacker. He had 45 stops last year and a sack as well. Cannon Adams, a decent linebacker with 70 stops last year, is back. And up front, Dyson Davis is one of the area's really, all big country caliber defensive end, 88 stops a year ago, 13 sacks a year ago. This guy's a quality defender, and he is back. So it's not like the cupboard is empty, but they do have some big shoes to fill over there too.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The one good thing, and you kind of mentioned it, in addition to those starters they got some kids who got some playing time as reserves who will be taking on bigger roles, but that is a question. When you got seven starters you got to replace, that's obviously a big deal. The last question I would have is just about depth. This is a Cooper program that the last 2 years has been a little bit light on varsity numbers. Last year and this year, right around about 50 players on that roster, which at the 5A levels probably a little on the lower side when you go across the area in the district. But so I'm just interested to see if they can build the depth they need around those two starting groups to really do what they need to do and survive a long season because they play obviously a tough schedule. Both the non-district and then once you get to district, this is a really quality, very competitive district. So I'll be interested to see that. I do think they've got some starting caliber talent. They've definitely got some dudes on that team, and that'll help them obviously. But they're going to have to be able to develop that depth around those guys if they want to really get back to where they were a few years ago, capable of making a run in the playoffs.
All right, we're going to be taking a look at Cooper's schedule for 2025. But before we do that, we need to thank a few of our sponsors. Beginning with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Brackenridge, 97.7 FM KATX out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Bracken, KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is For the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bayer Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a used vehicle, call Rob. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Give him a shout at 254 559 2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bayer Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. And finally, Cavalry Resources and Construction, located up in Breckenridge, serving the entire big country, offering custom standing seam roofing made on location and all commercial roofing applications. Give Kobe Walker a shout at 254 246 5546. That is Cavalry Resources and Construction in Breckenridge. All right, and with that, it's time to take a peek at Cooper's schedule for 2025. We'll start off in the non district portion. Their season opener will be on August 29th at Azle. They will face their arch rival, Abilene High. That's going to be a neutral site at Shotwell Stadium for both. That's going to be on September 5th. A road date at San Angelo Central will follow on September 12th, followed by a home date with Lubbock Coronado on the 19th before jumping in to league play.
Yeah, and they jumped straight into district with a tough game right off the bat on September 26th with a at home against Wichita Falls Memorial. They'll follow that with another tough one at Wiley on the 3rd of October. They'll come back home to play Lubbock Cooper on the 10th of October before traveling to Plainview on the 17th. And then they will play at home against Wichita Falls Legacy on October 24th before finally getting their open date on Halloween. And then they will wrap up their district schedule with what could be a really big game at Amarillo Paladuro. So this schedule is very front loaded in district. It's a very difficult district, a very difficult schedule right off the bat, but it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of navigate that.
All right, game of the year, Dan, as you see it, what is the most important game on this schedule for Cooper?
I would say that the season finale, the regular season finale at Amarillo Paladuro. That's a Paladuro team that returns quite a bit of talent from a team that just missed the playoffs last year. That was a playoff eliminator for both teams last year too, and I think it could be the same case this year. When you look at that district, it's a really tough district. You've got Memorial, Wiley, and Lubbock Cooper, which are all very good football teams, and those three are probably going to be fighting it out for that district championship. And Cooper obviously would like to be in that mix, and they can work their way into that mix. But if not, you're looking at that Amarillo Paladuro game as a winner go home game at the end of the season. That could very well decide their playoff fate. So I'm going to say that that game is the biggest in my opinion.
Always nice to close the season on with something that's very important, and I do agree with you. By the way, Paladero is going to be more than likely one of those crucial ball games for Cooper. But that's a nice way to end a regular season with something that's going to be way up on the radar.
And the one good thing for them, and this was the case last year as well, is after you got that really brutal stretch from Memorial, Wiley, and Lubbock Cooper, you got a couple of winnable games there to build your confidence. At Plainview is going to be a big one too. If you win that one, Legacy has really struggled in their first year as a varsity program. That's one I think you expect them to win, and you could be going into that Paladero game on a 2-game winning streak with your open date right in front of that. So there are some positives, but this is not a super easy schedule either. It's going to be in the way it sets up is pretty tough.
Right. And with that, it's about time to wrap up this edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Cooper Cougars. Before we do that, though, we want to remind you that August 20th is the big day here at Big Country Preps. That's the day that we release our preseason football preview, the most comprehensive look at Big Country football, high school football of any media source, either in our area or around the state for that matter.
And again, that comes out August 20th, so make sure you're on the lookout for that. In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Day series, and please come back tomorrow when we take a look at the Wiley Bulldogs here at BigCountryPreps.com.